There? Yeah? Awesome, thank you. Love is calling you. Wow, it's all about relationships. And sometimes we hide from love and we don't want to get into relationships because we've had experiences that haven't felt too good in the past and relationships that have left a few little dents in our armor. And so we have a tendency to sort of say, not that, not that. But I know this is the truth, and it is the fact that love is the thing that brings out the very best in us. When we open to love, and we allow it to be part of the way we are in the world, the very best, most divine, most sacred, most holy part of our divinity is able to shine through whatever that human experience is showing us or has shown us in the past. And that's the truth. And that really is a truth that you can trust. And so we're going to focus on this idea of conscious love this entire month. And today, relationships without reservation, without any agendas, another It's not always easy, right? Because sometimes when we get into relationships at one level or another, we have expectations about what it's going to look like, right? We have a list, so to speak. And so today we're going to talk about the need for each and every one of us to take responsibility for the quality of the relationships in our lives, past, present, and future, right? To be that instrument that knows how to give and receive love, and to work toward healing those things that may have left those little dents and those little nicks in the armor along the way. So our invitation is to pay attention to the quality of the relationships that we hold in our minds and that we are living in the present moment. Because most of us have a lot of relationships that happened some other time, right? We talk about relationships with other people. Some of them were brilliant, some of them not so much. Some of them were painful. And so this idea that we pay attention to the quality of our relationships and try to see all of our relationships in one way or another as a sacred, holy opportunity for us to express our divinity. That's not easy, because sometimes the pain is great. Sometimes the pain is very, very great. But the capacity for us to move into this sort of impersonal love that goes along with these conscious relationships doesn't expect anything in return. Hear that? Conscious love is impersonal and it does not expect anything in return. It doesn't say, I'll love you when. I'll love you if there's something in it for me. I'll love you if we can put our lives together in a way that works for me. Think about it. Think about that. Conscious love, conscious relationships are about nothing you can say or do can make me stop loving you. I'm going to love you anyway. So think right now, for just 2 seconds, about a relationship you're having in your life that's not working. Think about a relationship that you've held on to for many, many years that still causes pain. Think about that. Think about that. And then see if you've got the capacity to even open this much of a space in your heart to say to yourself, I'm willing to love anyway. This is where our healing comes from. Because when we're in relationship with all that is in our experience, past, present, and future, we have to align with the most holy, most sacred, noble impulses of our humanity and our divinity. We have to align with that part of us that knows how to love, that knows how to walk in harmony, that knows how to be cooperative, that knows how to share like the bird and the dog, that knows deep reverence for all of life. That part of us that is capable of expressing our divinity through our human experiences. It's not always easy. And don't hear me say that I can do this. I can't. This is a practice. We call it spiritual practice. Nobody's here to say it's a spiritual I'm all done. We don't get there because we get an opportunity every single time we breathe and every single time we're in relationship with anyone or anything in the universe to do it again, to bring forth that energy, you see. A lot of times we get so wrapped up in the human drama, past or present, or our fears about what's going to happen in the future, that we forget, I love what Deepak Chopra says, we forget that we're souls first and people second. We're here in our divinity, having a human experience. And sometimes we forget that. And we get so wrapped up in the everyday human stuff that it goes right over our heads or under our feet or something. It goes somewhere, and we don't realize we are these incredible beings having these experiences. And guess why we're having these experiences? To move us in the direction of our soul's journey. That's why we're having these experiences. They're here for us. They're here. You know, some of us are very, very fortunate. We've been able, maybe in this community especially, even in a partnership or a relationship that you're currently in, you may have the great grace of having found a soul friend in the Celtic tradition, Anum Cara. You may have a soul friend, somebody that gets you at such a deep level that is no effort. But I got news for you. Most of the time there's some effort involved in our relationships. That's the truth. And so when we are in our relationships, we look at them as opportunities to uncover these characteristics of the soul that we've been working toward all along. This compassion, this love, this hope, this faith, this joy, all of these qualities of the divine. And so what I know about that is we get to choose. When we're in relationships with each other, if we're not fortunate enough to have soul friends at every turn, which most of us are not, we're lucky if we can find one or two soul friends in a lifetime. But if we take the opportunity to experience our relationships in general with one another, take responsibility for that, and choose the high road. Choose to take the high road. We can always choose to take the middle path or the low road, but when we choose to take the high road, we choose to take that road that allows us to be conscious in the experience and not get our buttons pushed. And try not to push the other button in the process, you see. And I love it. Those of you who are in therapeutic work know, if a partnership is not working or a relationship is not working, how many people does it take to make a shift? One. One conscious person in a relationship can shift the whole thing. Taking responsibility for your part. In the program we'd say keep your side of the street clean. Taking responsibility for your part allows the relationship to move to a new place. It just takes one overly conscious person to really blossom a friendship or a relationship. Okay? So, we have to ask when we're involved in these relationships. And I was interested as Glenda was going through her meditation and inviting us to see the face of someone. It was like a collage. I couldn't focus on just one. Okay, see? It was like a parade of images moving through, and I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to leave anybody out. Yeah, I hear you having the same experience. And this is the question, when we're embracing our human experience and ready to express our divinity, within that, who is welcome and who do we push away? Think about that. Who is welcome in our circle of love and who do we want to exclude? I think that's a huge question, because the Sufi masters tell us there are no strangers when our heart is open. Everybody's included. We draw a circle of love that's big enough to include everyone, everything, the entire universe, to bless and to include everybody. Who do we exclude? Who do we exclude? And then the question comes, am I brave enough to love in this way? Am I brave enough to have these kinds of relationships? Am I brave enough to love anyway, to love well? Am I brave enough to love, to allow this? To put down the armor that's got a few nicks in it, the armor that's got a few holes and a few dents from life. Am I willing to put down that armor, come out of hiding, come out of isolation, and completely engage in the present moment with the relationships that I've been invited to engage with. And this, by the way, includes our shadow work. This includes stuff that's gotten in the way for 50 or 60 years. This includes those relationships that have not yet healed. Am I brave enough, courageous enough to take a look at that and shift my perception and take responsibility for healing that, whatever that thing is? Boy, that's a biggie. That's a biggie. But I want to tell you something. Until we've had the courage to meet these places in our life experience, or even in our present day experience where our relationship with somebody is in trouble, until we have the courage to meet that, to take responsibility for it, it sort of puts a lid on our growth. It sort of stifles us. We're not able to fully express this divine energy that we really are. So this is an incredible invitation to be willing to do this, to recognize the importance of our relationships, and then to take responsibility for them. This is the whole idea of embracing our humanity and expressing our divinity. It's the relationships that we get into with life in general, certainly with each other. That's the vessel where we do this work. It's our relationships. You know that idea of no man's an island? Well, guess what? That's the truth. Because an island's only an island in relationship to the water that surrounds it. If you're not looking at the whole thing, you know, you have an island. Well, yeah, but, you know, we can't see ourselves fully until we look in a mirror, or until we see a reflection of who we are through the eyes of another. You see? It's all about this reciprocation, this relationship between you and me and the world, me and everything else. See? That idea in the Hindu tradition, soham. You are who you are, and therefore I get to be who I am. Without you, I'm not the same person. Does that make sense? Our relationships with each other are so vital. And this is really what I want to talk about, because I know a lot of us have come through some difficult experiences in our lives that have left some residual junk that we've got to work through. Maybe we're going through something right now that's very heavy, very dense, very painful, and that we're having trouble moving through. It could be with respect to relationships. I love what Deepak Chopra tells us. It was in the newsletter this week, the email that we sent out, and I love it because he says, relationship isn't an object you take down from a shelf and polish or haul off to be repaired. Relationship consists of days and hours and minutes, each of which is lost as soon as it's over. How you cope with your relationships from minute to minute becomes the total sum of that relationship. That's amazing. So what I got from that, my interpretation, and you probably have your own, but for me, relationship is right now. Once you're, you know, this stuff that's past or whatever happened before, even 2 hours ago, that's an experience. That's an experience. The relationship with it is right this minute. Even the thoughts held in mind about the relationship is present moment. What was at some point in time, or even 2 minutes ago, is an experience. What we're doing right this minute is our relationship with one another, and also with the thoughts that we hold about our experiences. Because our thoughts are always present moment, isn't that the truth? I love this invitation. Minute to minute is where the relationship is. And this is great news, because you know what? We don't have to fix anything. We can be good enough. Got a bad relationship going, something that's really bothering you? You know what? You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to control anything. You just get to be fully present with whatever that is right now. Open up, be good enough, relate well enough, with love, with an open heart. You don't have to fix it. You just work through whatever that is in the present moment. That's where our relationships are. This is where we get to drop the grudges and the resentment and the blame and the shame and the judgment and all the junk. In the present moment, we get to expand our awareness, expand our hearts, and create room for the other person as they are, including as they may have been in the experience that caused us pain. We get to do that. We get to create room for that, you see, to be fully present. And guess what happens when we're really present with each other? We get to actually enjoy each other's company. We get to actually celebrate one another. We get to look forward to being with one another.